Hi everyone, welcome to Emma, a true infidelity story. I'm excited to share a new story with you. The scent of jasmine and cedarwood fills the air as I step into my office, a sanctuary of style and solitude. My name is Sophia, and for as long as I can remember, fashion has been my escape, my passion, my very breath. But today, as I sit here, the fabrics and designs that once thrilled me feel like mere shadows, unable to touch the growing emptiness inside. I've always prided myself on being the epitome of a modern woman, career-driven, stylish and deeply in love. My husband William, an architect with a vision that could reshape cities, and I have been married for 6 years. Together we've crafted a life that many would envy, in a cozy suburban home where every corner whispers of our shared dreams. And then there's Bentley, our German shepherd, whose loyal eyes seem to understand me better than most humans. Our days used to be a symphony of routine and joy. The morning rush, the quiet dinners, the laughter during our walks with Bentley, but lately the music has changed. William, consumed by his latest project, seems to be drifting away, not just from our home, but from us. His passion for architecture has always been intense, but now it feels like a wall separating him from the life we built together. As I sift through the latest collections, selecting pieces that will adorn the mannequins in the store windows, I find myself lost in thought. The vibrant colors and textures, once my source of inspiration, now seem to mock me. They are full of life while mine feels increasingly hollow. I glance at the clock, realizing it's time for lunch, but the thought of eating alone in the break room, surrounded by colleagues discussing their weekend plans, feels unbearable. Instead, I decide to take Bentley for an early walk. His excitement at seeing me grab his leash is the only genuine smile I've managed all day. The park is quiet, the leaves whispering secrets. As they fall, Bentley bounds ahead, his tail wagging with a joy I wish I could feel. I watch him, and for a moment, I'm reminded of the early days with William. We used to come here, often hand in hand, dreaming aloud about our future. Now those dreams feel like distant echoes, drowned out by the silence between us. The walk doesn't clear my head as I hoped. Instead, it amplifies the loneliness. I return to work, my heart heavier than when I left. The afternoon drags on, each task a reminder of the void William's absence has left. I start questioning everything: our relationship, my career, the life we've built back at home. The house feels too big, too empty. William's late again, his text message brief and impersonal. I prepare dinner, but the act feels mechanical, devoid of the warmth it once had. Bentley senses my mood, resting his head on my lap as I sit at the kitchen table, the untouched meal in front of me in the quiet. I realize I've been clinging to the idea of us, not the reality. The spark that once defined our relationship has dimmed, and I'm left wondering if it's just a phase or something more permanent. The vibrant life I've curated for myself and others through my work now seems like a facade, a beautiful eye. As night falls, I find myself at my desk, again, surrounded by fashion magazines and mood boards. The silence is deafening. I reach for my phone, my thumb hovering over William's contact. But what would I say? That I miss him, that I feel alone, even when he's here? The words catch in my throat unspoken. Instead, I open my laptop, the cursor blinking on a blank document. Maybe writing will help, I think, as I begin to type. But the words that flow are not about fashion or work. They are about me, about us, about the emptiness that's slowly consuming me. Will I find solace in my work? Or will this emptiness lead me down an unexpected path? The question hangs in the air, as heavy as the silence in our home. The mall is eerily quiet after hours, with only the echo of my heels clicking against the marble floors. Bentley, who often accompanies me to work, trots beside me, his tail wagging in the silent corridors. It's a typical Thursday evening, and I'm working late, finalizing the upcoming season's collection. William texted earlier. Another late night at the office. I understand, but the loneliness bites harder tonight. I decide to take Bentley for a walk around the mall, hoping the change of scenery might lift my spirits. We wander through the deserted food court past closed stores until we reach a secluded corner near the service entrance, where the light is dim and the world feels far away. Bentley, sensing my mood, nuzzles against me, his warmth a small comfort. I sit down leaning against the wall, and he lays his head on my lap. The silence here is different. almost tangible, like it's wrapping around me, offering a strange kind of solace. As I sit there, my thoughts drift to William. I remember the early days, how we talk for hours about our dreams, our plans. Now our conversations are reduced to brief texts and the occasional dinner where we sit in silence, the space between us filled with unspoken words. I pull out my phone, scrolling through our old messages, looking for signs of a love that once felt so palpable. But all I find are reminders of his growing distance. A message from him pops up. Still at the office? Don't wait up. It's cold, personal. I feel a pang in my C*******T. The same one I've been feeling more frequently lately. Bentley whines softly, pulling me back to the present. I stroke his fur, trying to find some comfort in his presence. The mall, usually bustling with life, now feels like a mausoleum, a stark contrast to the vibrant world I've always tried to create through my designs. I start to think about my work, the collections I've poured my heart into. They are supposed to be expressions of joy, of life. But tonight they feel like masks hiding the emptiness I've been feeling. The vibrant colors and textures, once my source of inspiration, now seem to mock me with their liveliness. In this quiet, secluded corner, I realize I've been running from my feelings, burying myself in work, in routine, hoping to fill the void. But here in the dim light, with only Bentley for company, there's nowhere to hide. The truth of my loneliness, of my dissatisfaction, is laid bare. I glance at my phone again, the screen dark. Now I think about calling William, about telling him how I feel. But the words catch in my throat. What would I say? That I miss him, that I feel alone, even when he's here? The fear of his reaction, of his possible indifference, keeps me silent. Instead I open my laptop, the cursor blinking on a blank document. Maybe writing will help, I think, as I begin to type. But the words that flow are not about fashion or work. They are about me, about us, about the emptiness that's slowly consuming me. I write about the silence at home, the dinners we no longer share, the dreams that seem to be slipping away as I write. I feel a release, a small relief from the weight I've been carrying. Bentley shifts, his head still on my lap, his eyes watching me with that knowing look. I wonder if he understands, if he feels the change in our home, the shift in our lives. The night deepens and the mall's silence grows heavier. I close my laptop, the words on the screen, a testament to my inner turmoil. I know I can't keep this up. This pretense of normalcy. Something needs to change. But what? I stand up, feeling the cold of the wall against my back as I stretch. Bentley gets up too. Looking at me expectantly, we start walking back. The echo of our steps now a somber melody in the empty mall. As we pass by the stores, I catch a glimpse of my reflection in a dark window. The woman staring back looks tired, her eyes searching for something she can't quite name. I realize that perhaps in this quiet, secluded corner, I found a mirror to my soul, a place where I can no longer ignore the truth of my feelings. The walk back to my office feels like a journey back to reality, one where decisions need to be made, where conversations need to happen. But for now I'm just walking with Bentley by my side, the only constant in this shifting landscape of my life. The night isn't over and neither is my journey through this emptiness. But tonight, in this quiet corner of the mall, I've taken the first step towards acknowledging it. What comes next, I'm not sure. But I know I can't go back to the way things were. The silence here is spoken, and it's time I start listening as I stroke Bentley's fur. My mind wanders to thoughts of intimacy, of connection, of the touch I've been missing in a moment of vulnerability. Overwhelmed by solitude and a desperate need for closeness, I find myself crossing a line I never imagined I would. The act is brief, confusing and filled with a mix of guilt and a strange, fleeting relief. It's not love, not even lust, but a desperate grasp for something, anything to feel alive. Bentley, ever loyal, doesn't understand the gravity of what has just occurred, but I do. The realization hits me like a cold wave. What have I done? How could I have let this happen? The shock of my actions leaves minute numb, sitting in the dim light, my heart racing with panic and confusion. I stand up abruptly, the cold air of the mall biting at my skin as if to remind me of the reality I've just escaped. Bentley looks up, his eyes full of concern, but I can't meet his gaze. I need to move, to think, to understand what just happened. I start walking, my steps quickening as I make my way back to my office. The emptiness of the mall feels like a reflection of my soul now. Vast and echoing with my own footsteps, each step feels like a heartbeat. Loud and heavy as if the mall itself is judging me. Reaching my office, I shut the door behind me, locking out the world. Locking in my turmoil. I sit at my desk, the familiar surroundings now alien, as if they belong to someone else. My hands shake as I reach for my phone, not to call William, but to silence it, to silence the world. The silence in the room is oppressive, filled with the weight of my actions. I lean back in my chair, my eyes closed, trying to find some semblance of peace. But all I see is the confusion, the fleeting moment of relief that now feels like a betrayal. I think about William, about how distant we've become. Is this what happens when love fades? When the spark that once ignited our lives turns into a smoldering ember? I've always prided myself on being strong, on being in control. But tonight I've lost that control. My thoughts are interrupted by a soft why from Bentley, who has followed me into the office. He rests his head on my lap, his eyes searching mine for an explanation. I stroke his head, feeling the warmth of his fur, a stark contrast to the coldness inside me. "I'm sorry, Bentley," I whisper, not sure if I'm apologizing for what just happened or for the turmoil I've brought into our lives. The night stretches on and I find myself staring at the designs on my desk, the vibrant colors now mocking me with their liveliness. I pick up a sketch, a dress I designed for a woman in love, and I feel a pang of irony. Love. What does it even mean anymore? I need to talk to someone to confess, to understand. But who? William? The thought sends a shiver down my spine. How could I explain this to him? How could I explain it to myself? I opened my laptop again, the cursor blinking like a silent accusation. This time I don't write about fashion or work. Instead I pour out my confusion, my guilt, my fear. The words flow raw and unfiltered, a confession to the void as I type. I realize I've been running from my feelings, from the truth of my marriage, from the emptiness that's been growing tonight in this quiet corner of my office. I've confronted it, but the confrontation has left me more lost than before. I close the laptop, the screen going dark, mirroring the darkness in my heart. I stand pacing the room, each step a reminder of the line I've crossed. I need to make sense of this, to find a path forward. But all I feel is the weight of my solitude, now heavier than ever. The clock ticks loudly, marking the passage of time, each second, a reminder of the life I've been living, the life I've been avoiding. I stop at the window, looking out into the night, the city lights blurring into a sea of confusion. I decide I need to leave, to breathe, to think. I grab my coat, and with Bentley by my side we exit the office. The mall is still empty, but now it feels like a sanctuary, a place where I can be alone with my thoughts, without the world's judgment. We walk the cold air, helping to clear my mind, but not my heart. I think about what I've done, about what it means for me, for us. The loneliness that drove me to this moment now feels like a companion, a silent witness to my fall. As we reach the parking lot, I pause, looking up at the stars. They are light, distant and cold. I wonder if William looks at the same stars, if he feels the same emptiness. Or is he too consumed by his work to notice the void between us? I unlock my car, Bentley jumping in eagerly, his tail wagging, oblivious to the storm inside me. I sit in the driver's seat, the engine purring to life. But I don't drive. Instead I sit there, the Kara cocoon, a temporary escape from the reality I've created. What will I do next? The question hangs in the air, as heavy as the silence in our home. I know I can't go back to the way things were, not after night. But what lies ahead? The path is unclear, shrouded in the same darkness that now envelopes the mall. I start the car, the headlights cutting through the night. A metaphor for the clarity I seek. I drive, not knowing where I'm going, only that I need to move to find some semblance of peace, or at least understanding. The road stretches ahead, endless like my thoughts, and I drive into the night with Bentley beside me, the only constant in this shifting landscape of my life. Tonight, in this quiet corner of the world, I've taken the first step towards acknowledging my emptiness, but the journey through it has only just begun. The days following that night are a blur, a haze of guilt and confusion. I avoid William's touch, his gaze, fearing he might see the betrayal. In my eyes, work becomes my refuge, but even there the guilt gnaws at me. Every piece of fabric, every design sketch feels like a mockery of the life I've been living. I start to question everything about my life, my marriage, my identity. William notices my change in behavior, the distance I've put between us. He tries to reach out, asking if something's wrong, if there's something I need to talk about. Each question feels like an accusation, and I retreat further into myself. I can't bear to look at him to see the concern in his eyes that I know I don't deserve. One evening, as we sit in silence, Bentley between us, William finally confronts me. Sophia, what's going on? You've been different. Is there someone else? His voice is calm, but there's an edge of fear. I freeze, the words catching in my throat. The room feels smaller, the air thicker. I look at Bentley, his tail wagging, oblivious to the tension. I wish I could be as innocent as unaware. No, William. I manage to say, my voice fairly, a whisper. It's not what you think then. What is it? His tone is gentle now, almost pleading. You've been so distant. I feel like I'm losing you. Tears prick at the corners of my eyes and I struggle to keep them from falling. I've been feeling lost, William, like I'm not the person I used to be. Like we're not who we used to be. He reaches out, his hand hovering over mine, but I pull back instinctively. I know I've been absorbed in my work, but I thought we were okay. I thought we had something solid. We did. I say, the words heavy with the weight of our past. But something's changed. I've changed. William sighs, running his hands through his hair, a gesture so familiar. Yet now it feels like a stranger's talk to me. Sophia, please. Whatever it is, we can face it together. The urge to confess is overwhelming, to let the truth spill out like a dam breaking. But the fear of what that truth could do to us, to him, holds me back. I need some time, William, time to figure things out. He nods, his face a mask of concern and confusion. I'll give you space, but remember, I'm here. I want to help. The silence that follows is filled with unspoken words, with the weight of my secret. I stand up, needing to escape the intensity of the moment. I'm going to take Bentley for a walk. Outside, the night air is cool, a stark contrast to the stifling atmosphere. Inside, Bentley bounds ahead, his joyous, sharp contrast to my turmoil. I walk, my steps heavy, each one a reminder of the path I've strayed from. The park is empty. The only sounds are the rustling leaves and Bentley's occasional bark. I sit on our usual bench, the one where William and I used to share our dreams. Now it's just me alone with my thoughts. I think about the person I've become, the choices I've made, the fleeting moment of connection in the mall. It wasn't about love or desire. It was about feeling something, anything, in the void that had become my life. But now that void feels even more profound, filled with guilt and regret. Bentley comes back, dropping a stick at my feet, his eyes expectant. I throw it, watching him chase after it with unbridled enthusiasm. If only life could be as simple as a game of fetch. My phone buzzes, a message from William. I'm here when you're ready to talk, love you. I stare at the words, feeling the chasm between us widen. How can I tell him that? The love I feel is now tangled with guilt, with a sense of betrayal. I type response, my fingers trembling. I know, thank you. The walk back home feels like a march to a confession I'm not ready to make. The house looms ahead, a symbol of our shared life. Now a facade for the secrets I keep. Inside, William is waiting, his eyes searching mine for answers. I'm not ready to give. Did the walk help? He asks, his voice hopeful a little. I lie because the truth is too heavy to share. We sit together, the silence between us now, a living thing breathing with the tension of unspoken truths. I glance at the clock, wishing for time to speed up, to carry us past this moment, past my guilt. William reaches for my hand, and this time I let him take it. His touch is warm, familiar, yet it feels like a reminder of what I've risked losing. I love you, Sophia, he says, his voice breaking through the silence. I love you too. I reply, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. But love, I realize, isn't just about the feeling, it's about the choices we make, the truths we share, and the secrets we keep. And tonight I've chosen to keep mine, hoping against hope that time will mend what I've torn. As we sit there, the night deepening around us, I know I can't go on like this. The weight of my secret, the distance it's creating, it's unbearable. But the thought of confessing, of seeing the hurt in William's eyes, is paralyzing. I need to find a way to reconcile with myself, to understand what I want, what I need. Because continuing to hide, To live in this shadow of guilt isn't living at all. The night stretches on, and with each passing second, the decision looms larger. Will I confess my secret? Or will I continue to hide the truth? The answer, like the future, remains shrouded in the darkness of my own making. The weight of my secret becomes unbearable. With tears streaming down my face, I confess not to an affair with another man, but to the bizarre and unthinkable act with Bentley. William's reaction is a mix of shock, disbelief, and then a profound hurt. He stands up pacing, trying to process what I've just revealed. The room feels like it's closing in. William's silence is deafening. Finally, he speaks, his voice strained. Nicola, I need time to think. This is beyond anything I could have imagined. He leaves the room, and I'm left alone with Bentley, who looks at me with those same loyal eyes, unaware of the storm he's unwittingly caused. I sit there, the silence heavy, my heart pounding with the fear of what this confession might mean for us. The vibrant colors of our home, once a reflection of our shared joy, now seem to mock me with their brightness. I stand up, my legs shaky, and walk to the window. The night outside is dark, the stars obscured by clouds, much like my future feels now. I press my forehead against the cool glass, trying to find some relief from the heat of my guilt. Bentley comes over, nudging my hand with his nose, seeking comfort or perhaps offering it. I stroke his fur, feeling the softness, the innocence in his gaze. I'm sorry, Bentley, I whisper, not sure if I'm apologizing for what happened or for the turmoil I've brought into our lives. The minutes tick by, each one stretching into an eternity. I hear the distant sound of William's footsteps pacing in another room. The sound is like a metronome to my racing thoughts. I decide I can't just wait. I need to do something, anything to bridge the gap I've created. I walk towards the room where William has secluded himself, my heart in my throat. The door is ajar, and I see him sitting on the edge of our bed, his head in his hands. I knock gently, not wanting to startle him. William, my voice is barely a whisper. He looks up, his eyes red, his expression a mix of confusion and pain. Nicola, I don't know what to say. This is. It's not something I ever thought I'd have to deal with. I know, I say, stepping inside, keeping my distance. I didn't think it would happen either. It was a moment of weakness, of loneliness. I felt so disconnected from everything from us. William stands, his posture rigid, but with Bentley, how could you even? His voice breaks and he turns away, unable to finish the question. I'm not asking for your forgiveness right now, William. I'm trying to be honest, to tell you how lost I felt, how I've been trying to fill a void that's been growing between us. He turns back to me, his eyes searching mine. I've been so focused on my work. I know I've neglected us, neglected you. But this, Sophia, this is something else entirely. I understand if you need time, if you need space. I say, my voice trembling, but please know that I love you, that this was not about love or desire. It was about feeling something, anything in the emptiness. William sighs a deep, weary sound. I need to think, Sophia. I need to understand this to understand us. I'm not sure what this means for our marriage, but I can't just ignore it. I know, I reply, my heart sinking further. I'll give you all the time you need. He nods, and there's a long pause where we just look at each other, the weight of our shared history and this new, shocking reality hanging between us. I'll sleep in the guest room tonight, he says finally, his voice flat. Okay, I manage, feeling the finality in his words, the distance growing even as we stand feet apart. He walks past me, his shoulder brushing mine, a touch that feels like a goodbye. I watch him leave the door, closing softly behind him, leaving me in the room that once was our sanctuary, now a battleground of emotions. I sit on the bed, the mattress dipping under my weight, feeling the absence of William beside me. Bentley jumps up, laying his head on my lap, his warmth a small comfort in the vast emptiness of our room. I stroke his fur, tears falling silently. What have I done? Bentley, I whisper, more to myself than to him. The cute dog looks up at me, his eyes full of concern, but no answers. The night stretches on the house, quiet except for the occasional creak or the distant hum of the refrigerator. I lie back, staring at the ceiling, the shadows playing across it like the doubts in my mind. Sleep eludes me, My thoughts a whirlwind of regret, fear, and a desperate hope that somehow we can find our way back to each other. But the path is unclear, obscured by the darkness of my actions and the uncertainty of William's reaction. As dawn begins to break, the first light filtering through the curtains, I realize that this is just the beginning. The confession has opened a door, but what lies beyond it? I can't see. I only know that the journey through this new landscape will be fraught with challenges, with pain, but perhaps with time, with healing. I get up, my body heavy with exhaustion, and walk to the window. The world outside is waking up, indifferent to the turmoil within our home. I watch as the sky lightens, a new day dawning, symbolizing both an end and a beginning. William's reaction to my confession has left our marriage in limbo, a state of suspension where every moment feels like a decision point. Will we find a way to rebuild? Or will this be the catalyst for our unraveling? The answer, like the future, remains shrouded in the morning mist, waiting for the clarity that time might bring in the days that follow. Our home becomes a place of silent tension. William moves to the guest room, needing space to think. I spend my time reflecting on my actions, seeking therapy to understand my lapse in judgment. The vibrant colors of our home now seem to mock the turmoil within each piece of art. Every carefully chosen decor item, a reminder of the life we once shared. I start attending individual therapy sessions, trying to untangle the web of emotions that led to that night. The therapist, Dr. Ava, listens with a neutral expression, her office, a stark contrast to the chaos in my mind. Sophia, it's important to understand that your actions were a cry for help, a way to feel something in the void you've described. She explains, her voice calm and measured. I nod, feeling the weight of her words, the truth in them, heavy. William and I start attending, counseling together, trying to salvage what we can of our relationship. It's a slow, painful process filled with tears, arguments, and moments of hope. The counselor, Mr. Benjamin, guides us through the labyrinth of our emotions. Communication is key, he often says, his eyes moving between us, encouraging us to speak our truths. During one session, William finally breaks his silence. I feel betrayed. Sophia, not just by what happened, but by how distant we've become without me even noticing. His voice cracks. And I see the pain etched in his features, the confusion still lingering. I know, I reply, my voice barely above a whisper. I've been lost. William, I didn't know how to reach out, how to bridge the gap that had grown between us. We talk about our dreams, our fears, the pressures of our careers, and how they've shaped our relationship. Mr. Benjamin encourages us to find new ways to connect, to rebuild trust. It's not about going back to how things were, he says, but about moving forward together, creating something new. Bentley remains a constant in our lives, his presence both a reminder of my lowest point in our journey towards healing. I watch him play in the backyard, his tail wagging, oblivious to the human complexities around him, his innocence, his joy. It's a stark contrast to the heavy atmosphere inside our home. One evening, as I sit alone in the living room, the silence is broken by William's footsteps. He sits beside me, not too close, but not as far as he used to. I've been thinking, he starts, his voice tentative. Maybe we can start by doing something simple together, like cooking dinner. Just us. I look at him, seeing a flicker of the man I fell in love with, the architect who once built dreams with me. I'd like that, I say, a small smile breaking through my usual somber expression. We cook together, the act of chopping vegetables, stirring sauces. It's mundane yet profound. Each action feels like a step towards rebuilding, towards understanding. We talk about small things, avoiding the heavy topics, but the conversation flows easier than it has in months. As we eat, the silence is different now, not filled with tension but with a cautious hope. This is nice, William says, looking at me, really looking at me for the first time in a while. It is. I agree, feeling a warmth I hadn't realized I missed so much. The nights become less about the distance and more about tentative steps towards each other. We start sharing the bed again, not for intimacy but for the comfort of presence. We lie there, sometimes talking until sleep claims us, other times just listening to each other's breathing, finding solace in the shared space. Our counseling sessions continue, and slowly we begin to unravel the layers of our relationship. Mr. Benjamin guides us through exercises to rebuild trust, to communicate our needs and fears. It's about creating a new foundation. He reminds us one that acknowledges the past but isn't defined by it. One day as we walk with Bentley in the park, William takes my hand. It's a simple gesture, but it feels monumental. I'm not saying I understand everything, he says, his voice steady, but I'm here. Sophia, I want to make this work. Tears prick at my eyes, not from sadness but from a burgeoning hope. Thank you, William, I want that too. We're not the same couple we were. Our marriage isn't what it was, but we're trying to rebuild something new, something different. The path is fraught with challenges, with moments where the past threatens to overshadow our progress. But we're learning to navigate this new terrain together. Bentley bounds ahead, his joy infectious, a reminder of the simple pleasures in life. As we watch him, I feel William's hands squeeze mine, a silent promise of commitment, of trying. The question remains, will Sophia and William find a way to coexist? Or will this incident forever change the fabric of their lives? The answer isn't clear, but for now we're walking forward, hand in hand, with Bentley leading the way towards a future that's uncertain, but ours to shape. If you feel that this story is meaningful and brings useful lessons, please like and subscribe to the channel to support me. Thanks.